Good afternoon and welcome back to my Colorado kitchen, Cooking with Carol Diane. Today I'm going to show you how to make a delicious, moist chocolate cake, layered cake. I made it once before, but I didn't show you how it was made. We just ate the whole thing. It was all gone and it was delicious. And I'll also be showing you how to make the frosting that goes with that. So I've set out all of my ingredients. It is a beautiful day today. It's about 87 degrees right now. Yesterday was pretty warm around here, and I made the mistake of going out and doing a couple of things in the yard, and I think I got a little heat stroke yesterday and last night. But I'm doing better today, so I'd like to get this cake done this afternoon, and then I'm going to make another one showing you my dinner of what I'm putting together. So we'll just kind of jump right into both of them. But I may make two videos. I really will. Okay, so the first thing that you will need is, I started with my recipe, but my dog got to it. I had to go to the grocery store, and when I got home, it was laying on the floor, and I thought, oh, little Daisy May, what have you done? I can't find the other piece. She might have eaten it, I don't know. But it's here, and it is going to show me what I need as far as ingredients, so that's really all I'm concerned with. All right, so the very first thing that you're gonna need for this cake, I'll start with the dry ingredients, and you will need 2 cups of flour, but they do want you to sift it. So I'm just gonna put it in this little strainer here and sift my flour. You can do it any number of ways. You've seen me a lot use my vintage, the kind that rolls like this, of my sifter, and I really like it, I really do. But I went to a yard sale right after the grocery store today, right after I kind of forgot something, and I saw this great big sign. They were doing road construction down the road. I finally found the yard sale, and nice gentleman having the sale in his garage, very cool in his garage. And the first thing I found was this little strainer. I thought, okay, I can work with that. And then the second thing I found, which you can't really find these anymore, not in my hardware store or any stores I'm at, and it's these little guys for your lawn, and I really needed this. And that was in the free box, and I'm always for going to the free box. I found that. I found a nice big, probably a good 50-foot garden hose, and I can always use an extra hose around here. That was free. And then alongside the wall, he had all these cans of paint, some of them big 5-gallon tubs of paint. Well, my back picket fence in my garden area, I never have gotten to the back fence to paint it white. And I don't really care about premium quality paint for a picket fence, you know, outside that's gonna get wet every day. So I did pick that up, and again, he said it was free, okay. And a couple of more just gallon ones of white paint. That was great. And then I looked over on the table. Truly, the only thing that I purchased was this little guy, which is a bacon press. And if you know anything about these heavy cast iron bacon presses, they're not really that cheap. They really aren't. And I love to use them when I'm out camping. And so that's what I got that for. It was just an extra one to have. I may give it away or whatever, but I did get that. So that was kind of fun this morning, going through the construction just to get to the yard sale, but I did, and I got a couple of things that I'm gonna enjoy. Okay, next into this dry ingredient, you're gonna need some cocoa powder, and I just used the Hershey's cocoa powder, and it's calling for 2/3 of a cup of cocoa powder. So we'll put that right in here. This cake, whoops. Well, it happens, doesn't it? I think we've all been through that. It goes every place but what you want it to. It's really fine cocoa powder, very much like powdered sugar. And so it is gonna go all over the place. Okay, there's my 2/3 of that. Clean up that little bit of a mess. Clean up as you go. Always make your kitchen nice. Clean up as you go. Okay, and then it calls for 1 teaspoon of baking powder. That's this right here, baking powder. And 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And it does call for 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now, usually I just reach in and do my little dash or pinch of this, but I'm going to go ahead with the 1/4 of accurate measuring. Okay. That's the dry ingredients right there. That you kind of want to just mix up. In fact, I think I'll grab my whisk just a minute. We'll just kind of whisk this up a little bit. Get that in there. That looks good. All your dry ingredients. This cake, once you make it, I don't think you'll go back to any other kind of chocolate cake because it is that good. Okay, so now we need the wet ingredients. And for that, you need 3 large eggs, room temperature, which I have set mine out, room temperature. So far, my tabletop mixer that my husband bought me for my anniversary is working just fine. It really is working just fine. I do have to turn it on. And then you need 1 2/3 cup of just regular sugar. And then they want some flavoring, and that's 1 1/2 teaspoons. Let me get the half one out here this morning. 1 1/2. Of vanilla. I use the Madagascar vanilla. I still like it. It's going to make this cake really yummy. Seem to be having a few spills today, don't I? All right, it all cleans up. My kitchen. Okay, we're going to whip that up so it's kind of light and fluffy. And once that gets light and fluffy, there's 2 more ingredients to this recipe that I think just makes the recipe. I really do. Turn it down on low. Next ingredient is 1 cup of mayonnaise. Now, it's your choice as far as mayonnaise. If you want to use real mayonnaise or if you want to use what I always use, and that's the Miracle Whip. Today I'm using the Miracle Whip. This is what makes it really moist. It really does. Makes it so tasty. That's 1 ingredient. And then the last one is 1 1/3 cups of coffee. Just any brand coffee. So between the mayonnaise and the coffee, that makes this pretty tasty. I have set my oven to 350 degrees. Now we're going to slowly add in the dry ingredients. Still gets out just a little bit on my mixer. I don't know why. Need a smaller bowl, I guess. That's all right. Perfectly all right. It's gonna look like a real rich, creamy cake mix that you would buy at the grocery store. It really is. But it's homemade, and you'll like the homemade. Then I'm going to put mine in 3 different cake pans. Today I have a 3-layered cake. You want to grease and flour your cake pans. I'm going back to my good old standbys that have this that goes around to get the cake out very easily. That's what I'm going to use. I always like to get the sides just a little bit, make sure everything is incorporated in before I pour it into the pans. And then just equal amounts on your pans. Start with one, go to the next one, go back to the first one, and so on. This kind of ensures, not always, but kind of ensures that you're getting the equal amounts. That's the first step of making this wonderful cake. I'm going to put it in the oven for about 35 minutes, give or take 30 to 35 minutes, depending on your oven, of where you are and how your oven is set, at 350 degrees. When it gets done, I will come back on and show you the cake and how to assemble it now and put the great chocolate frosting on it that we're going to make. So I'll see you just in a few. Welcome back. My cakes are out of the oven and have cooled. Now it's time to make the frosting. This is going to be a cream cheese chocolate frosting that's going to cover all 3 layers of the cake. So let's just dive right in, even though I still have a torn up recipe for my dog, but that's okay. I was able to barely piece it together and kind of remember in my brain, oh yeah, it takes this much and this much. So we'll go from there. So what I will need is, first of all, I'll need some cream cheese, and I always like to get the Philadelphia cream cheese. It's calling for an 8-ounce block of the cheese. And that's usually what they all come in, as well as I remember, yes, 8 ounces. So we're going to put this whole entire thing, which has been at room temperature. That and my butter, both room temperature. Instead of having it cold right out of the refrigerator. Put this in the mixer. Cream cheese is good for so many recipes. I really, really like it. Real good. I'm using my whip for the attachment on my mixer. Right now the cake had this one here. If you're using a tabletop mixer and if you're using a KitchenAid. If you're not, if you have just made your cake and had a regular hand mixer, that works too. It really does. So the cream cheese, and then you're going to go with 1/4 cup, which is 4 tablespoons, 4 little marks on your butter. I use real butter. I really do. I like real butter. This is salted real butter. And we're going to cream that up. I'm going to add 1 1/2 teaspoons of the same vanilla that I used in the cake. And I did forget 1 ingredient. Go figure, that story of my life, always forgetting something. Day late, dollar short, that's me. Hang on just a minute, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back again. I did forget my milk as the wet ingredient for this, but I did mix this up very well while I was gone, about maybe 4 little minutes in there. Also, what you're going to need is 3 cups of powdered sugar. Put my big one down in here today. 3 cups of powdered sugar. I like to keep my powdered sugar, some of my extra flour and sugar in big, nice plastic containers like this. I just find it keeps it a lot fresher. Brown sugar especially, I keep in one of these. Now the powdered sugar may vary. We're just going to kind of see as I put this in here. And we're going to add 1/2 cup of the cocoa. That's what was torn from my recipe that I couldn't see from my dog. That's all right. She's a good little girl. She really is. Bless her little heart. She's only 11 months old. She really is. Just a baby still. Every now and then she gets into things she's not supposed to. Okay. Now I will turn it on real low and add just a few drops of milk. For 1 to 2 teaspoons of milk, but really you just have to kind of eyeball it. If you add too much at the very beginning, then you'll just be adding more powdered sugar. So I always like to kind of do this step a little slow. Smells good with that cocoa powder. You can really smell the chocolate in my kitchen. Smells real nice. Now I'm going to stop my mixer for just a minute, and then I always like to go around the side of the bowl so that I get all that powdered sugar and the cocoa mixed up well in there. Long at all, really doesn't. Go ahead and take your beater blade off. Set that aside. And again, give it another good stirring to make sure all of it is mixed in, and that's the frosting that you'll have. Okay, so now that the frosting is complete, now we need to put the cakes together. So get you any kind of a cake plate. If you don't have a real fancy one, that's okay too. Regular cake, regular just a dinner plate will work too. Whatever you want to put it on. And rule of thumb is the highest one that peaked up, you should use that for your top part. The other two, the proper way to do it is to make sure that they are cut evenly. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one as my top part of my cake. Now, these two that I have here, they do still have a little bit of a raised area, but we're going to fix that. So those of you young ladies that have never done this on a cake, this is how you do it. Here's my cake that I take these that just loosens the edge and the bottom so that I can get the cake out with little to no effort. But I want to get rid of that top part. So any knife, I started with this one, but any knife will work. And you're just going to take off, you're going to go even with the pan, and you're just going to take off that little mound. It's just a little mound that just does not need to be there. Okay? Get rid of that. Make sure it's even all the way around. This was the part that when my four sons were little in the kitchen, that they would fight over every time I made a cake, that they'd want, you know, that top piece of the cake. And that was a little difficult to make sure that I got all of them, you know, equal amounts, because they really liked it. And you turn your cake over. I like to dust the sides of them with my hands. That just gets all the loose cake from the side, because you really don't need that. And then that's the first layer that's going to go on your cake pan. Okay? Then we're going to go ahead and put some icing on here. And I did forget my little knife, so I'll pause for this one a minute. I had so many things on my mind today. Where does the day go? You know, it just gets away from you. All the little things you have to do during the day. And I've had a few, I'll tell you. It's to be 95 degrees again today. I'm not going outside anymore. I did my shopping early in the morning, so I don't have to go out in this heat any more than I have to. Even with the air conditioner in the car, it still does bother me. It really does. Okay, so that's the first layer. Easy, isn't it? Okay, now we're going to go to the second layer, which is this one. Same thing. I'm just going to loosen my cake. Now, if you don't have these vintage little pans, any cake pan will work. I recommend putting a little piece of parchment paper on the bottom to get your cake out. Always kind of helps. I've just had these over the years and I really like them. It's just no fuss with these pans at all. Again, there's another little layer to the cake. Gonna turn it upside down. Brush off any extra crumbs on the cake and set this one on. Add some more frosting. There we go. Add a little bit more frosting here. Said the first time I made this cake, oh my gosh, I couldn't keep everybody out of it. I really couldn't. They were just wanting more of this. I had to make a lot of chocolate things when my kids were little. They just like chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. Me, not so much. I like a little bit, but in moderation. I really do. Okay, so now we're not going to cut or do anything on the top one. We're going to leave it the way it is because we want that little mound up there, which is fine. Okay, dust this off here. Pretty easy peasy on this cake, really. Don't go and buy yourself a cake mix at the grocery store when you can make a homemade cake. There really wasn't that many ingredients to this, and it comes out lovely. Just lovely. Okay, here's the top part of the cake. And as you can see, the frosting wasn't that hard to make either. It just isn't. It's going to taste so much better than the store-bought. It really is. So much better. To kind of get the top a little bit on there before I start my sides. This will be nice tonight for dinner. It really will. After dinner, it'll be nice. I'm going to make a sweet and sour chicken over a bed of nice white rice. Only mine's a little bit different than what you normally make. I love Chinese food, I really do. And when I go to get Chinese food, my sweet and sour dish that I always order, it doesn't have very much to it. I mean, it's basically just the chicken and some bell peppers, and they call it quits on that. I'm going to be adding a few more things to mine. And I will video that and show you that too. When it gets this hot, you don't want a whole lot, like a heavy dinner. You really don't. And sweet and sour chicken over rice is pretty light and tasty. And then my nice chocolate cake will be wonderful. Just wonderful. I had a real good friend ask me, please make that. Please, you showed it one day in your video and it looked so yummy. Please make it and show the recipe. So that's what I did today. Decided to show you this quick and easy recipe for this yummy, yummy cake. Now, don't panic about the mayonnaise. You don't even have to tell your guests it's in there. They won't know. They'll just think it's a nice, creamy, moist cake. But the mayonnaise and the coffee, I think, gives this cake its special due. I really do. I will refrigerate this because it's so hot today. Even though I have the air conditioner on and it's cool in the house, I will go ahead and refrigerate this cake just to make sure everything sets nice. That's what I want it to do, is set up pretty. I apologize for the interruption. Sometimes my landline telephone calls and I can't reach it clear across the counter. So anyway, I start with a few of nice whole walnuts that I like to put on the top. It's completely optional what you want to do. You can also go around the side with these. Is always nice on a cake. I need to get back down to Sam's Club and get another great big bag of the walnuts. I like the walnuts there. And but for today, I just had a little bag left over and I thought, okay, I'll just use these for my cake. I think it's going to turn out just fine. It's going to be pretty yummy, I know that. can't resist this cake, truly. The ingredients are pretty special. I've enjoyed it anyway. Every time I've eaten it, I've enjoyed it. Like I said, I'll come back on and show you my dinner of what I'm going to do tonight. And have a nice, cool evening of having my sweet and sour chicken and my chocolate cake. It'll be pretty nice. I hope everyone is enjoying their day today. Trying to stay cool in the heat. Truly trying to stay cool in the heat. And there's the little cake all done. Pretty easy. And even though my dog showed up a recipe, of which I rewrote the whole thing, I really did. But bless her little heart, she just, she gets to stuff every now and then. I have to watch her. Certain plants, you know, dogs aren't supposed to be around. And I really have to kind of watch her on certain things. But she is so a part of this family now that I wouldn't trade her for the world. So this is my moist, rich mayonnaise chocolate cake today, from my kitchen to yours. I hope you've enjoyed my little video, and stay tuned for dinner tonight. Okay, bye-bye now.